What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you are watching the very first episode of a brand new LP project. The game in question is it's my favorite game on the Nintendo 64. I personally like it even better than Zelda 64, which should be saying something, although most people would probably disagree with me on this fact. I probably played it more than every other Nintendo 64 game combined. It's unfortunately it's probably a pretty underappreciated game, and in fact it's part of a whole series of games that are all quite good and also sadly underappreciated. How much longer is this little intro thing? Are there more words? Nope. The game, of course, as you can probably tell by the title of this episode, is, of course, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. And a couple things I want to mention before I start this game proper. The first is, of course, the fact that I am trying out a new audio method that I'm probably going to end up using for this entire series, unless it ends up being absolutely terrible. I've been playing around a bit with this in my Ramblings series, and I think I've got it figured out fairly well. It's a little bit more work, a couple more steps, but I think it works pretty well. And in the end of the day, it provides a better audio. So, I mean, that's all that really matters. So, the other thing I want to mention is, of course, the fact that this LP is being recorded on an emulator. And the thing about Ogre Battle 64 is it doesn't emulate so hot. So throughout the game, there's probably going to be the odd graphical issues. For the most part, I don't think it's anything super significant. There's some like titles of chapters and stuff that don't come up, but we can fix that, and I'll just fix that in editing. And there's some. Probably the biggest thing is that there's a lot of times backgrounds and stuff won't pop up properly, so you'll just have like a black screen, and that's annoying. But I don't think it really does a whole lot. So, anyways, I'm unfortunately going to cut this little scene short. And we're gonna get this thing started. So, select a new game. And I probably should have opened up my notes before I actually started. So, we start off with a little bit of a flashback with a fellow with a bit of a puffy shirt who apparently someone is leaving him. I guess that's the guy who's leaving. Are they like brothers or something? And I guess he's going away to join the army. Who's even talking right now? You can't stand? You look like you're standing to me. Oh, you can't stand being around your father. So I guess he's got parental issues. ... I'm leaving. Goodbye. Who's Yumil? Oh, I guess Yumil is the puffy shirt guy. You seem to be standing just fine. You don't have crutches or anything. I mean, he's probably speaking in a metaphorical sense, but, you know, whatever. And off he goes. "6 years later, huh? I guess his military training is complete. Ishka Military Academy. Yeah, well, I guess he's graduating. Our next graduate. He's all grown up. And kind of one of the things I was saying about the graphical stuff, you can kind of see that the text box is messed up a little bit there, but it's not a big deal. What is thy name? My name is Magnus. Oh, whoops. The name Magnus is indeed acceptable. What is the date of thy birth? Now, I don't think the date of your birth, there's only one thing that it really does. Well, I mean, obviously it determines when your birthday is. So, it doesn't really make all that big a difference. So I always just go with my own birthday of December 3rd, which translates to Fogo 22 in the Zetaginian calendar. Zetaginia being the place where this game takes place. Now the next series of questions determines your answers determine your starting items and starting units and stuff, which I'll explain what all that even means later. But basically the way this works is we have a series of 5 or 6 or something questions, and depending on your answers, you get the game doesn't tell you this, but you're scored in I think 4 different categories. And depending on what your totals for those categories are after you've answered all those questions, the game takes those totals to determine what items and stuff you get. So there's like facts and stuff out there that you can read that can help you kind of game the system to get the stuff that you want. But I'm not going to do that because I think it kind of takes away from the fun of just kind of taking the party that you have and turning it into your super powered fighting force. Kind of like the reason why I didn't use heroes in Final Fantasy Tactics. So I'm going to answer these pretty much random. So let's go with belief. I'm not sure how you hold belief within your sword, but whatever. I shall sever silence. Because, you know, I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, so I think that kind of fits. Might. I want power. Give me power! I don't know. Freedom. Be free, gods! Be free! I don't know what you're being free from, but whatever. Give me fertility. Everyone wants fertility. Oh. Fertility for the land? I want fertility for myself. Let's get rid of changes. Everything should stay exactly the way it is. Because that's going to happen. Now this last question doesn't actually determine your items or anything like that. This just determines what element your character is, as well as what elemental pedri you get at the beginning of the game, which I'll explain eventually. But I don't think it makes too much difference in the end, but I want to go with the wind. Just because. And here we get our items. So let's see, we got a blessed sword, and a great bow, and a light mace, and a balder sword, but that's... You can kind of tell what units you got in your party based on what items you get, if you actually know the game fairly well. So it looks like we got a knight, an archer, and a cleric. And then we got some secondary items. So yeah, it looks like a knight, an archer, and a cleric. And the Pedro of Wind. So that's the end of that. So now let's watch the opening credits. Episode 6. I'm trying to think. There's definitely 6 games in this series. Whoa, that's definitely messed up graphics. I guess this is supposed to be like Magnus's journey after leaving the academy. But anyways, I believe this is technically the 3rd game in the series. I don't know why it's episode 6, I'm not really sure. I guess they got the Star Wars treatment. But before this, there was Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen, which I think was originally on the Super Nintendo, although I don't think that version ever came out in North America. We did get it on the PlayStation, though. And then there was, of course, Tactics Ogre, which I think is the same thing. Originally Super Nintendo, we didn't get it till it was ported to the PlayStation. And Tactics Ogre was actually recently remade for the PSP. It's not a port, it's a complete remake. And here we have the prologue. Casting their gaze on the ground, trudging along. And yeah, the kind of subtext for all the chapter things, none of them ever really make a whole lot of sense. So I guess we've made it to Akka Castle. So we're getting placed in the army or whatever. Who's this dude with the stash? Palatinus is the region of Zetaginia that we are currently in. How can you tell where we graduated from just by looking at us? But I want to slack off. Well, clearly I've got a lot of that. Ariosh! Ariosh! So I guess that's Ariosh. Organization is key. Oh right, we're command candidates. What if I want to ask questions? I guess I'm out of luck if that's the case. Gray-haired old man, huh? That's a bit of an odd name. Magnus Gallant, reporting as requested, sir! I am indeed Magnus. Eh? What do you see? Hugo's his name, huh? Hugo Miller. Is that it? You're not gonna, like, interview us or anything? I don't know about that. I mean, just because you're old doesn't mean you can, like, read people's minds. Okay, I guess we better get out of here. Not that I actually have any control over what's happening right now. Well, he's quite enthusiastic. You can tell by the text box going blah because he was yelling. What kind of idiot just yells at a random person? Well, that's Dio, always getting into trouble. And here we are on the world map. And with that, I leave you here for today on Let's Play Ogre Battle 64. Catch you later.